Hello, peoples of the internet. We are once more at my desk. Okay, so, you saw the title. This is something I've been wanting to try for a long time. I first found out of the whole long Furby phenomenon from a crazy channel called Strange Aeons. She rad. So yeah, ever since I started watching her channel, like, that gave me the inspiration to make my own long Furby. Then I found r/long Furbies, and then I'm like, you know what? Yes, I'm doing this. Except I have the time management skills of an amoeba, and I never got around to it. But no longer. So I've been ordering materials, including a face. Well, there's a mini face that came too, but yeah. I've been ordering materials. If you've seen me on Instagram, maybe you saw me shouting about how I've obtained a spine. And now a face. But yes, I do have a spine. Vertebrae. So yeah, I am going to be making my very own long Furby, and yes, I am happy. I am doing this. As soon as the faceplate got in the mail, it legit got in today, I knew this is what I was going to be doing with my night. So guess what? It's long Furby making time. Quick note, I have a lot of materials that I used for this. I was having a little trouble finding everything I needed for this project, so I hope that along with being a catalog of my weird, wild Furby journey of birthing my child, this guide helps as a kind of a starting point for materials and what you'll need to do. That being said, everything I've mentioned here, aside from fabric, paint, simple stuff you could get at Walmart, I'll have a link to that below, so hopefully your materials search won't be quite as hectic as mine was. So yeah, enjoy! So I start out with painting the face. I didn't want to dismember an original Furby or Furby buddy, since only so many exist, you know? So instead I ordered a faceplate off of Etsy. I found this wonderful seller, Dano Crafts, and I got a plate from them that was in pieces, so it'd be easier to paint. They also sent me some eye chips, stickers, and a mini faceplate. You know I'll be making a doll-sized long Furby out of this. It's gonna be epic. Anyways, yeah, face painting. I picked up these colors from the local Walmart, but before that whole Walmart journey, I took some colors from this cool space fabric I found that I'm gonna be using for the belly, and I tested them out in a crappy little test doodle. I didn't think of priming with white beforehand, but I wanted the purple kind of dark anyway, and the blue was so light that it didn't really need any primer. I ended up going back and adding a few layers of white to the beak though. After all the painting, I tried to sand down the eyes so that they would be a bit smoother. It's hard to do much of that though, without taking off too much and revealing the gray, which I had to fix a couple of times. Unfun. Eventually, though, I got something that I was happy with, and I sealed everything with Tester's Dull Coat. After that, I added a little gloss Mod Podge to the eyes and the tongue to make them look more eye-y and tonguey. Pro tip, be gentle with this stuff. I learned the hard way on a face-up that if you let the Mod Podge pull, it will yellow. So, yeah, don't do that, just be gentle. Here I just do a couple of thin layers, and it works perfectly. Next up, we're making the iris. I would have maybe gone some eye chips on my own, but I really wanted to do this bit myself. I figured I'd need thicker paper than what Dano provided, so I used this Crayola lightbox thingy I had flying around and traced over the circles onto some wannabe watercolor paper. I couldn't decide what color I wanted the eyes to be, so like a genius, I went with 4 at once. I do some watercolor drawing magic thingies, involving me eventually breaking out my Derwent pencils to try to do shading. Then I cut them out and decided I needed to do a darker cornea real quick, so I pulled out a Posca pen and managed to not mess up some pupils. After I was done, I struggled putting everything together. I used some Gorilla Epoxy on the eye chips, they were fine, came out amazing, perfect, love them. The lashes though, my worst enemy. I was going to use these cool LED light-up lashes my mom told me she got, but we couldn't find them. So I stuck with these random dollar store ones I found. Tried getting them on with super glue, failed and got it all over my fingers. Even as of recording this, there's still a little bit that's stuck to my thumbnail, not fun. I tried again with flash glue, but the faceplate just wasn't letting it stick. I eventually tried just sticking the lashes on the top of the eyelids because they did have a little sticky surface, but I don't know, I didn't like how it looked. So then I tried to put the pieces together with hot glue and secure, but, oh yeah, this is 3D printed stuff. Very smooth 3D printed stuff, so it didn't stick. Pain. Later, though, after cooling down from my frustration and coming back to this, I tried everything again. First, I hot glued the lashes to the underside of the eyelids, which, this time, it went pretty good. After, I gently put everything else together, securing with drops of Gorilla Epoxy in places that wouldn't show up. Then, I left the face to dry for a little bit. Beautiful. We are gonna set that aside for now. Now, we're cutting out the pattern. I got this pattern off of Google Images by Daft Furby on Tumblr. I looked up the account, and it hasn't really been active for a while, from what I can tell, but this lasting knowledge has helped me so much, so thanks! I'll have a link to the blog post down below by them that explains the pattern more in depth. I couldn't print out this pattern, so I kinda had to trace it by myself. So yeah, that was a whole challenge, but I managed to get it to scale, I believe. Anyways, after tracing and cutting that out, I realized that I needed a seam allowance, so I retraced the pattern and fixed that up real quick, adding 1/4 of an inch seam allowance. For everything else, I'd make the feet and the ears. They're basically just like little pockets. I'm using this light blue fabric, but it's pretty thin and I was afraid of that making some problems. So I layer it up, using 2 pieces for each light blue piece instead of just 1. I also opted to use a stronger fabric for the bottom of the foot, and probably will for the bottom circle too. I also backstitched on some little toes. So cute. And now, for what I've been putting off. I was a little intimidated, both by stitching the head together and working with this fabric. I'm not so used to working with something so thick and, sheddy. Like, geez, it sheds more than my dogs. But honestly, it wasn't too bad. I was a little confused about how the back main piece and the back in general would fit together. I eventually figured out, though, that I'd need a piece for the top, like for a tuft of fur. And after not being able to find anything suitable on hand in the moment, I decided to just use some more gray fabric and see how it works out. Honestly, it doesn't look too bad on the finished product, which, you'll see soon. Now, if you've been following along with the pattern and stuff, you'll notice I've left out something important. Belly. I've decided I don't want a seam line between the head and the rest of the body, so I cut it all out as one big piece, basically just combining the belly trapezoid from the pattern and like 3 more feet of space fabric into one huge belly panel. After some confusing simple addition, I basically did the belly panel as long as I possibly could, because that comes out to just over 3.5 feet, the length of the spine I ordered. Then I iron it out and sew it on, and now for the intimidating part. Let's get to it then. We're going to take off a bit of the fur where the face is going to set. Since this fabric is pretty porous, we're going to slide a flat, solid piece between the fabric so no glue gets onto the back side of the fur. I went with a thin piece of cardboard about the size of the faceplate. I went ahead and used more Gorilla Epoxy, attaching the faceplate in the front fabric and let it set for a while I ate cheesy bread. After that, I cut out a huge panel for the rest of the body. This one's measured 10 inches by 42 inches. Then I attach it on. This took me a while. I had to spread it out over a couple of days. I could have used an old sewing machine I have, but I don't exactly trust that thing. I haven't had good experiences with it. I ended up having to cut a little excess off. It was a little uneven, but I'm too lazy to fix that. What I ended up cutting off was a little over 2 inches long on each side. Then I pinned the feet on each side of the space belly and then sewed that on with half of the bottom panel. Then I slowly turned the fur right side out while stuffing them up. I also have the spine centered in the middle as I stuff. I try to keep it in the middle, adding an even amount of stuffing on all sides of it. I don't think I mentioned it before, but the spine I used was from a shop called Morsey More on eBay. You don't have to use their spines, but I found it an easier time working with them than Well, before I tried to get a bunch of coolant hoses and attach them together, but that didn't work out. I couldn't get them together, and I ended up returning them. So yeah, that was a whole journey. But yeah, this spine 10 out of 10, very spiny, tasty vertebrae. Anyways, after that, we sew up the butt, and here she is, my beautiful child. They is done, and they are magnificent. So yeah, this sexy entity right here, their name is Jupiter, Vorer of the Cosmos. They come out to be like a little over 43 inches long, give or take a few inches maybe, I don't know. I love them. Just yes. Just yes. Look at that beautiful face right there. That is the face of awesomeness. And that is my phone rapidly changing the lighting. Okay. But yeah. I'm in love. Like, holy shit. I'm in love. I guess like there are a couple of little things that like I'm like just slightly annoyed about. Like, I'm not sure if I made her face like just a little too low. Like, it feels like she has a big forehead, but that may just be because the tuft is the same color. And the ears are like slightly lopsided, but it's cool. And like with this fabric, it looks amazing, but the thing is there are little strands of stuffing that keep coming out, which that's slightly annoying, but ah I'm just look at this beauty. I love her. I'm honestly a bit surprised with how she came out, because like I didn't really expect my stitching to like hold up, I guess. But then again, like, I have been getting better at stitching over the years. I mean, like, a while back, I repaired, like, this whole quilt that's been in the family for a while. And, it doesn't look perfect, but it's not meant to. But, it's actually held up, like, really great, despite, both me and the dogs, pulling and sleeping on it or in it or whatever. So, yeah, I guess I'm getting better. And, like, she's holding up really great, too. And just, she's also like super fluffy. I love this fabric. It is amazing. This isn't weird at all. She is also very much beloved by all of my friends, as you can tell from the screenshot shown here. And to end off this video, I'm gonna force my mom to take some pictures of me and this beauty right here, okay? So, bye-bye from me and Jupiter. Hope you enjoy the end photo shoot.
1, 2